We are back.
Hey everyone, we're on our break at work doing like a guy in car rant video, so look out.
Yeah, we are not currently driving, so nothing illegal is happening that you can see.
Yet. A couple things we want to talk to you about today real quick while we're on our break. The first thing on our list is the New York Times endorsement of Warren and Klobuchar. In my opinion, or in our opinion, we feel that this is just really not a good faith endorsement on the part of the New York Times. This is not a good faith endorsement on the part of the New York Times. I really feel like this is just the same fake feminism that we saw drummed up in 2016, basically to get people away from Sanders. Like, I don't feel like this is honestly them trying to bolster Klobuchar and Warren so much as it's them trying to detract from the campaign of Sanders. And I feel like it's just very false and hollow. They're just using feminism, like the genuine movement of feminism, as a pawn to just hurt Sanders. And I feel like it's just really this gross. I don't like it. I expect more from the media.
It begs the question, why would they even endorse two candidates that seemingly have almost nothing in common? If you support Klobuchar, you're probably not supporting Warren and vice versa, so I don't even know why the two most similar candidates would either be like Sanders and Warren or Klobuchar and like Buttigieg. I don't understand where they're coming from, and like she said, it's definitely just to fuck off Bernie.
Yeah, it just reminds me of fake feminism of the 2016 election and like girl power. It comes off as feeling very false, and also I feel like they're not going to drum up support from the people that they really want to. It's going to piss off leftists, and it's going to embolden right-wingers to basically just like make the same points that I did. And I feel like they're really hurting themselves, in my opinion. I feel like this was a really poor choice. They shouldn't have done it.
And also, like, as a woman, I hate being pandered to like that. It kind of reminds me of when John McCain picked Sarah Palin as his running mate. For no other reason other than the fact she's a woman, obviously. She's a total fucking moron. But I just fucking hate being pandered to like that. It makes me feel like whoever's doing this thinks I'm a fucking idiot because I'm a woman.
I can understand them endorsing Warren. I think, like, she's obviously not my first choice, but, like, I can see why they would like her and her politics. I can see that. What does Klobuchar bring to the table? 2016 was a change election. It was an election where people, whether for good or bad, they really wanted change. This election is the same thing. This is a change election. People are hungry for change. Klobuchar is just thoroughly a status quo candidate. I mean, this is really, like, are they paying attention to the news they're reporting? I'm honestly shocked that, like, Klobuchar was even still on stage for the last debate. She's just taking up space, taking up time. I just want to take, like, a giant cane, like, old, like, vaudeville days and just, like, drag her, like, off the stage.
No, first we need to do Tom Steyer, and then we can drag her off the stage. I live on the West Coast. I don't know if that's relevant, but the only person I've ever seen actual television commercials for is Mike Bloomberg.
I've seen a bunch of Steyer ones, too. In fact, the other day I was watching TV. There were, like, Bloomberg and Steyer ads on like back to back, and like we're in a state that is like solidly blue, like, and we're one of the later voting states too, so it's like our votes are like basically useless. So it's like, why the fuck is this guy like devoting so many, well, because he can, obviously, but it's just weird that he's devoting like so much like resources. Obviously, like, our state's gonna go the way it's gonna go. Just something that I've noticed lately, I noticed this back in the 2016 election, but I've noticed it even intensifying now, and that is the problem with this like fake, hollow sort of progressivism. It's like a weird flavor of progressivism that's just like surface level only. In my experience, many of the progressives, the so-called progressives that I meet, are actually, like, pretty conservative.
Yeah, and in any other country, these people would probably be considered, like, center-right at best. If you're a Clinton supporter, that's probably what you are, honestly, or a Klobuchar supporter.
No, we grew up in a part of, like, our major metro area. It's, like, a wealthier suburb. We lived there while we were in high school, and so we know a lot of, like, upper-class, wealthier people from this area, and a lot of them just, highly educated, typical sort of, like, perfect Warren supporter. And a lot of these people, they voted for Obama, they supported Hillary, they consider themselves, very progressive and, support gay rights and stuff. But then when it comes to things like, the human rights issue that is healthcare, and they'll say, oh, well, I don't really think we need much of a change. I think it's fine the way it is. Or, gee, I think I'd love to have universal healthcare, but I just don't want to lose my doctor. And it's like,
the fact that you even have a doctor to lose says something.
I mean, Bernie Sanders is the only candidate I've heard who's like who's framed the healthcare issue as a human rights issue. If you're an American in this country and your health insurance is too expensive to afford, if your premiums are sky high, your human rights are being violated. If you are not offered health insurance through your work, your human rights are being violated. If you do not have health insurance, your human rights are being violated. It was correct of Bernie to frame it like that, and more people need to speak up. The fact that we've made healthcare this consumer commodity makes people not place a premium on it like they should, and conceive of it as unimportant as other consumer goods may be. And it's not. This is a human right. I see way too many fake progressives just, shrugging this issue off. And I'm sorry, but if you support Liz Warren's stupid bullshit, like 2-part plan, people will die. A public option is not good enough. People are still going to be underinsured. People are still going to have obstacles to healthcare that they should not have. With Liz's plan, people will die who did not need to die. That's how it is. I'm tired of this fake progressive. I feel like this election is really kind of, and this, especially this like dynamic between Sanders and Warren that's emerging, and therefore their supporters, is really exposing just how conservative even our progressives in this country are. It's a real problem. There's just really not a whole lot of left-wing representation. It's a big problem. Well, have you noticed any of this, like, fucking, like, fake progressive shit? Like, I don't know, like, yeah, I have, like...
comment down below if with your personal experiences with fake progressives, because I know we all have it.
Yeah, like, Karens, you know what we're talking about, like, the... Like
wine moms.
The I've got mine crowd. Like, the people who, they have health insurance, their wages are good, they have a comfortable standard of living, so... they're liberal, but they also, like, don't give a fuck about other people, and...
They're liberal, but they're not leftists.
Yeah.
That's the fucking problem.
Mm-hmm. And, like, I don't know who needs to hear this, but you can absolutely be a Republican and be a liberal. Like...
well, yeah.
Like, well, I don't know, you probably hear all the time, too, or I see online, people are... They conceive of... being a Democrat with being a liberal. They use these terms as if they're mutually exclusive, and it's just not true, and I'm tired of hearing it.
Yeah, I got into a fight with YouTube comments when somebody fucking called Nancy fucking Pelosi a leftist. And I said, Jesus fucking Christ, she's about as far from the left as you can fucking get.
I think Nancy Pelosi would correct that person.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think she would even call herself a leftist.
Yeah, I don't even...
Like, oh god, how embarrassing.
How embarrassing for you, I just called you out.
I hope you're watching.
Yeah.
We don't have any subscribers, so you're probably not, but... also, like, if you're watching this, like, definitely fucking subscribe. Anyways, like, lots of quality content like this to follow.
I like how we say it just, like, in the middle of the conversation. Not at the beginning, not at the end, but just...
Oh, God. Help some ladies out. This other thing that I have on my list is just something that I think of.
I can't read any of her handwriting, by the way, so I'm just guessing what she fucking wrote.
Well, I'll talk about... This is something that I bitch to you about a lot, and that's, the term... high information voter.
Ugh! I guess if you listen to plenty of Rush Limbaugh, you'd be a high information voter, which is just bullshit.
Exactly. Like, information doesn't have to be good information or even factual information. Like, you can be, like she said, you can watch so much Rush Limbaugh, or, ingest so much of that information. You can watch Fox News all day long.
Alex Jones?
Yeah, you will be a very high information voter. You will have a lot of information, and it's all shit. Like, so, I guess what I want to say is, I just feel personally like we need to stop using the term high information voter. I think we need to be more specific. I personally feel like the term is a myth, or at least a huge mischaracterization of what we are really trying to communicate when we use that phrase. I think when people use that phrase, they're trying to think of somebody who, follows legitimate news sources and, stays, appraised of current events and, studies each of the candidates and their platforms. And, I even know people who call themselves high information voters who, ostensibly liberals, and, like, they're, like, coming out for Pete Buttigieg, and I'm like, I don't know, like...
How the fuck does that happen?
I don't know how you can call yourself a high-information voter and, like, also somehow come to the conclusion that Pete Buttigieg is, like, the best person to run our country. Like, I don't know what information you're consuming, but it's... Woo, I'm concerned for you. Yeah, so let's not use that phrase. Let's be more specific. Let's say what we really mean. I also feel like it's a way of kind of just shitting on people who, like me, I'm a working person. I stay informed the best I can. I just do not have the time to, scour news sites and outlets and read the paper like other people do who don't have to work as much as I do. And
I think they should be called high false information voters, because if you fucking listen to InfoWars or any of that shit, like, what is that even true?
Yeah. And political science, that's what my degree is in. Political science research tells us that people who are more highly educated often fall victim to these kinds of misinformation that often emerge during these election cycles. Because, when you think of yourself as I don't know why that is, but personally, if like trying to get into the head of somebody like that, they think, oh, well, I'm educated, I know all this stuff, so if I think it's right, it must be right. I know it's like I think some people get kind of arrogant, just because you're educated doesn't mean that you know what the hell you're talking about. Personally, I think that, this is just my opinion, but I don't personally believe that you really need a whole lot of information to be an informed voter or to vote well for your needs, to advocate for your own needs through voting. I don't think you really necessarily need a lot of information. I just think that information that you do get needs to be quality. It's important to look for quality information sources. Then it is getting just really, more and more difficult to suss out, what's a quality source of information in this day and age. There's a lot of compromise going on, and outlets like the New York Times, it's a very reviewed news source, but even I feel like it's like a real mixed bag. I feel like they'll have some articles that are just really great, and they'll have others where I'm like, who the fuck and why was this published?
I heard one time the New York Times took out a whole page ad for some rich racist asshole who called for the execution of 5 innocent teenagers. It's like, how could you, New York Times?
Ooh, yeah, what was that all about, New York Times?
That shows that you honestly don't give a fuck about what they put in the paper, as long as you have enough money,
Yeah, and have they renounced that? Have they, I haven't heard anything about that, yeah, and that's the thing, you do something I feel like, obviously that was just a horrible mistake, and as bad as that was, you need to renounce that. Holy shit. But I can't take them that seriously.
No.
I don't know. I like The Intercept. I recommend them as far as news sources go. If you're on the left and, you don't really know, where to look for news, I recommend The Intercept, though if you're on the left, you probably already read The Intercept.
And one thing I like to do, I listen to the Democracy Now! Daily, show while I'm taking a shower, so it doesn't even, take any time out of my day. I just do that every fucking day.
Yeah, that's an important thing to think about. I know if you're a working class person like us and you work a lot, and like we just said, it can be really hard to stay informed. Multitask, like she said, listen to, a podcast or a news program while you're in the shower. While I do my makeup, I listen to the Majority Report every day. Or, the Michael Brooks show. While I'm driving, I'll put on some, TYT. It's just making time, and it's really difficult, and at some days it's just impossible and you can't do it.
Yep.
But you just have to make peace with that. We do what we can when we can. And so I don't know if you're getting down on yourself, if you're finding a hard time staying informed or keeping on top of things, don't fucking beat yourself up. Just do what you can, and just look for quality rather than quantity sources of news. Like I said, I really don't think you need to just be reading newspapers and watching newscasts all the time to be an informed voter. You just have to prioritize the quality of what you consume over the quantity.
Watch us all the fucking time.
Yeah, watch us. Thank you.
Bye.
Subscribe.